Hey everyone, guess what? It is not snowing here today, which is a reason to celebrate, and I think I hear angels sing. Welcome back, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Adelina, and I live in a tiny house in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I make videos about everything tiny house and basically answer the questions that everybody has asked me in the past. Today I'm going to answer a question that I received from a viewer, and her question was, do I feel safe living in my tiny house? It's a really good question, and I think there are two parts to that answer, so I'm going to answer both of them today. First, I think we need to talk about the tiny house itself, and is it a safe place for me to live? And if you've watched any of my videos before, you know that one of the reasons that I recommend working with a tiny house professional builder versus doing it a do-it-yourself, unless you know what you're doing, is that a builder knows how to build a house to codes and make sure that it's safe for you to live in. I didn't want to have to worry about whether my house was wired properly, plumbed properly, and the gas was plumbed in properly. I wanted to be able to sleep at night without having to worry about, was my tiny house safe? I have a combination propane and carbon monoxide detector, and it is located underneath my desk and is wired into the house electricity. I don't actually have propane appliances right now. When I built the house, the intention was to have the on-demand hot water heater, the furnace, and the stove oven to be propane. When I found my parking spot here in Calgary, we were not allowed propane appliances inside the units in the park here. So I had to find a new hot water heater because I couldn't find one that would fit in the space that I have. So I ended up having to go with an electric tank. And the stove and the furnace were a simple switch. It was just a matter of changing the fitting on the end of the hose to make them natural gas. But when I move, I will likely go back to propane for the furnace and the stove and have propane tanks. So I knew I needed a propane leak detector. And obviously, you want to have a carbon monoxide detector, and mine is a combination of the two. I've seen in the stores combination units that are smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. It sounds like a good idea, but the thing is that your smoke detector and your carbon monoxide detector really should be in two different locations. Your carbon monoxide detector needs to be down low, at head level or lower, and your propane detector should also be down low because both of those gases are heavy. So having a smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector doesn't really make sense because they need to be in two different locations for them to be really effective. And so I have mine down low, down under my desk, and that gives me the comfort level of knowing that I'm taken care of in case I have any of those issues. So that's one way that I feel safer living in my tiny house. Which brings us to the smoke detectors. I actually have two smoke detectors, one here just above the bathroom door and one by the front entrance just beside the kitchen. Now they are both wired into the electricity of the house with battery backups, which obviously is a good idea. And they are very loud. I burnt some toast once, maybe twice, and those suckers went off. They alarm, and they also talk, and they cycle. One will say something, then this one will say something, and it's so loud. And I was so embarrassed because when I had to open my doors and windows to air things out, I'm sure my neighbors could hear me. Really loud, rather annoying when you set it off accidentally. However, there is no way you're sleeping through something like that, and that is really the point of having a smoke detector, is to wake you up, and in this case, wake up all your neighbors if you have a fire. I feel a lot of comfort in knowing that they are wired in so the battery can't wear out, and they also have a battery backup in case the power goes out, and they are definitely loud enough to wake me up if something bad happens. I think it goes without saying that every house should have a fire extinguisher, and my house does. The builder made sure to put one in, and it actually was attached on a bracket just inside the front door, which I moved because I didn't like it sitting there, but it's sitting right beside the kitchen, so it's easily accessible. Another piece to feeling safe in my tiny house is knowing that I have an egress window in my bedroom. When I was designing the tiny house, I actually wanted all my windows to be awning windows because I plan to move to Vancouver Island, where the humidity will be higher and it will likely rain a lot more. And I wanted to be able to leave all my windows open if it rained. However, my builder is smarter than I am, building to code, and she knew that it required that I have an egress window in my bedroom and also in the loft in case somebody's up there. Having a safe, quick way of exiting my bedroom should something bad happen in the main part of the house is really a peace of mind that I think is invaluable and also, necessary. You need to be thinking about how you're going to get out of your house if you have an emergency. Where'd the kitty cat at? There she is. She's hiding. I see tiny houses that are built with lofts, and in the loft there'll be a very small window or a skylight above, and no easy way to exit that space if there's a fire. I'm not an expert, but what seems obvious is that what happens if there's a fire in the main part of the house and you were to open that skylight and have it open, you're basically creating a chimney and a space for the smoke and the fire to rush to. Whether you're building a house with a loft, a bedroom on a gooseneck, it doesn't really matter. You need to be sure that you have a space for egress and a safe space for you to leave in case something really bad happens in your tiny house. Given that this is such a small space, I can see from my bed all the way through the house to the front door. It's not a big enough space that I have to worry about somebody breaking in and me not being able to hear them or see them. In my condo, the townhouse that I had, there was on the ground level, the garage level, there was a laundry room, the front door was down there, there was a window. There was always the thought that possibly somebody could be breaking in down there and I wouldn't really be able to tell. But living in a tiny house with everything right here, I know exactly what every sound is. If I hear sound in the middle of the night, it's either the cat heading to the litter box or eating some of her growlies out of her bowl. I never worry about strange sounds, so any strange sound is the cat. So that makes me feel quite safe. The front door in my tiny house opens outwards. Most doors in standard houses, I would venture to say all doors in standard houses, the main doors open inwards, which means that I don't worry about somebody prying open the door or kicking open the door. So that's kind of a level of comfort and security that I have. I like that I can see from the window that's on this side of the kitchen, that I can see who's at the front door. There's also a little window right behind the camera that I can see who's at the front door and who's outside. So that gives me a level of comfort, which I really appreciate. I live right now in a mobile home park. I've gotten to know my neighbors and they sort of keep an eye out for each other. I think that sort of block watch mentality is really something that I appreciate and makes me feel actually quite a bit more secure and safe. This place has always felt like sanctuary for me. If you're wondering what it's like to live in a small space on your own, if you happen to be on your own, I can say from my experience, I've never had a worry. I've never felt unsafe. And of course, it makes a difference where you're parked. Perhaps if I was parked out in the woods on a piece of land on my own, I might have more concerns. But I do intend on getting a dog at some point. I want a big dog, maybe a German Shepherd or something like that. I will definitely have some dogs and have that level of security. It's how you approach life. I don't approach life from a place of fear. I don't expect the worst from people. Now, I'm not naive. I consider myself a realist, and I'm definitely aware of the realities of the world. But it's been my experience that people are by nature inherently good and they look out for each other. I think that there needs to be a measure of being realistic and careful and also not moving through the world being afraid and expecting the worst. For me, yes, I feel absolutely safe here. I love my little tiny house. It is my little piece of awesome, and I feel very secure and snug. So I hope that answers that question for you. I would love to answer more viewer questions, so if you want to send them to me, I'll definitely try and answer them in future videos. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. To all my new subscribers, hello, and thank you so much for subscribing and watching. I really, really, really appreciate it. And I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye. And nope, that ain't right.